Can a democratic society ban an app? Well, the obvious answer is obvious. Yes. Should a democratic society ban an app? Another obvious answer, no, it should not. But wait a minute, I thought that TikTok mines your data, combs through your personal information like your zip code, address, phone number, etc., and provides your sensitive information to data brokers online to be purchased by the highest bidder. Actually, that's what every social media company does, not just TikTok. Well, all this sounds like a massive breach of security for United States citizens, so maybe it's best that we ban TikTok altogether so that our Chinese adversary can no longer have access to all this data. Well, the answer to that is a bit complicated. Still, lawmakers have taken the initiative for us. As of April 2024, Joe Biden, the president, signed into law a bill proposed by Congress that included a provision that bans the Chinese-owned app from all United States devices. The main issue with this action is that it is in direct violation of the First Amendment, specifically infringing on a U.S. citizen's rights to freedom of speech and freedom of press. A TikTok ban also disrupts the U.S. economy greatly, as more than 7 million small businesses rely on TikTok as a generator of revenue. On TikTokseconomics.com, you can view the statistics the platform has used as their argument. TikTok in the U.S. means more economic activity and potential growth. Furthermore, banning TikTok sets a bad precedent. This is the first time the country has ever outright banned a foreign app. If we go through with this, more countries with laws less stringent than ours will take the initiative to ban social media platforms. That ultimately endangers the civilians of non-democratic countries and diminishes the global population's ability to speak for themselves. The United States decision will have reverberating effects across the globe, destabilizing already tenuous civil liberties in countless countries. Understand that platforms like TikTok are not just for funny videos or private commerce, but vital centers of information for marginalized community, as well as centers for activism and social change. The recent wave of protests against the Israeli-Palestine conflict in college campuses across the United States is a perfect example of this. TikToks have been used to communicate rally locations, identify victims of police brutality and their offenders, and generally raise support for the cause. Okay, I get it, but surely there are bad things that TikTok does. It negatively influences our mental health, prompts us to buy things we don't need, and collects so much more of our data than it actually needs. Now, all of that is true to an extent. TikTok does influence public opinion and culture in such a way that we may see negative trends increase. But consider that much of our personal perceptions about TikTok rely on our experiences with its powerful algorithm. One user may have a mostly pleasant experience, while another mostly unpleasant. Now, why is that? Recently, TikTok's engineering team released a document that outlines the basics of how their algorithm works. Basically, the company has chosen to optimize for two closely related metrics in the stream of videos it serves: retention, that is whether a user comes back, and time spent. The app wants to keep you there as long as possible. Some users describe this recurring experience as an addiction, and the health effects of algorithms are still being studied, though there is no reason to dismiss them altogether. What is important to note is that our personal experience with the app must be put aside to consider the weight of what such a ban indicates. What is not being discussed here is the larger issue at play. Regardless of the platform or the origin of its owners, all social media platforms spend their efforts directed towards one lucrative resource: data. Your data is incredibly valuable. In fact, the most valuable resource on the planet. Countless data broker firms exist across the globe that buy and sell data, the data which you provide willingly and unwillingly when you use these platforms. What is really needed then is not an outright ban of any of these platforms, but regulation that thoroughly addresses the lack of data protection and privacy we are provided. Luckily, such a bill has already been introduced. The American Data Protection and Privacy Act was introduced to the U.S. Congress in July of 2022. It's a comprehensive bill that establishes requirements for how companies, including nonprofits and common carriers, handle personal data, which includes information that identifies or is reasonably linked to an individual. Comprehensive protection of our personal information sounds nice. In fact, sounds like the exact reason that we banned TikTok. So why then has it not been passed? There are a couple reasons, but the bill has been stalled largely because of pressure by megalithic digital media companies like Google and Meta and other lobby groups. Americans' data is constantly being harvested and used to profit. What is arguably more important than foreign interests is that of American data protection. It is more vital than ever in the information age that something so valuable to us is not carted around to the highest bidder. It should be monitored under the tight scrutiny of the United States. And the impact of such a bill passing will likely have the same effects as this ban will. Countries around the world are likely to follow in our footsteps, to protect their citizens and continue to allow them to enjoy the liberties of life in a freer society. Ultimately, as citizens of a free country, we should be allowed to enjoy whatever platform we see fit, but should not be subject to broad day robbery. Social media companies have long had access to something we hold so dear. Perhaps it is our turn to take it back from them, whether their owners are Chinese or American.